we have a saying in Russia. It's like, if you put the mind to it, the ass will follow.
What's up, dude?
What's up, bro? Oh,
what is
God.
that? What do you got back there? Is that your oh, all right.
Hi, friend.
I've never done that in my life. I've never.
You better start.
I know. I don't know. I don't know.
What you talking about? This thing?
Yeah.
That's so I was just going over like basically a funnel. I have this builder that I have a bet going on. He is on his third house with me, so he's got a ton of work. Hello. Hi. That's so cute.
Have you one of these?
Working on it.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Wait, no, you can have this one for a while if you want to practice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll rent that any day.
So what's the bet?
The bet is I'll be able to sell his home quicker, that it was just newly listed, through a basic funnel that I just set up for him online. We did like a landing page. Yeah. You know what I mean? And versus his old ass broker.
Oh, she hears it all the time from her.
So if you tell her I'm from Jersey, she will know why I speak the way I speak.
Yeah, all right. She's got to learn it. I mean, she's got to learn those words sometime.
Right.
So.
All right. I gotta go get everybody where they gotta go.
All right. Good seeing you.
All right. Say bye. Say bye. What's going on with you, man? You're out and about. You got more. How many employees do you have now?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. But like what I'm trying to do now is I went far out to test. Like I try to do like blitz scale to see if it works, and that model didn't work. So I'm pulling back. So I'm about to take it back down to 3 solid, including myself.
Yeah.
And it's working well, because what I've noticed is like, if I just literally like create a tiny microsystem for everything, I could squeeze that much more here, that more here. And then like I already had great systems in place, but I went like deeper and into like each category and went like micromanage, stuck my hand in everything. Came back out the other end. I was like, yeah, we're not going to need this, that, or that. Cut that out. I'm like, whoa, okay, what am I going to do with this 30% now? All right, that's going to go, you know what I mean? So like a lot of that happened. So like the money's just now going back into, I got a whole bunch of marketing stuff cooking up. That's pretty cool. Like the gear and like some stuff, for me to use as like lead magnets.
Yeah.
I'm building out this little box, which is like, it's a black box, sort of like almost like a Birchbox looking thing, right? But like small, and it's gonna have the T-shirt in it, like folded up, and it's gonna have a thumb drive, so it's gonna be on some like 007, like very like very Imperial. So that's gonna be like a super lead magnet with a little book in there and everything. I got money. Now I'm able to put in that. Showroom displays, and the biggest thing that's happening is, so like, if remember like when me and you had conversations about like what's the macro, I would always be like development. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that anymore, because like working alongside of it, servicing that industry, I'm only going to do it from a mile away, meaning like I will do some like tenant filled acquisition, ready to turn over property. Like I'm not rehabbing shit. I'm not, no. Like the system is so broken, I'm disgusted. So, until that's fixed, I don't think I want to use my knowledge to dumb myself down and do things like development. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and to trust someone and give up 1%, then why do it? So I sort of put that on a back burner, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to concentrate on this. I'm going to scale this. Boston's been responding well, doing very good. We're finally at a multi-unit level, so people are starting to like give me some respect.
Yeah.
So like all that shit's happening, and then of course when things meant to happen, they're meant to happen. I have the itch of like marketing and e-commerce and just capitalizing on a tech and always thinking scale. So I started like digging under the hood, and I started putting a little business plan together since like December, January. And it's basically an e-com where it's like that. It's direct to consumer, but they're super like builder, stock, limited. I'm talking like Imperial direct consumer. You know what I mean? Ad builders costs, cutting out the fat, being super transparent, basically Uber of the kitchens, and not doing it through some dinky website, but through like an insane app experience, an insane user experience, like not your basic shit. So we're talking CTO, we're talking couple $100,000 in tech. Like this is a big project, right? So I'm like, whatever, the idea is good. I put it in the cloud, right?
Yeah.
This guy that I've been working on, I'm on a second home. He's a really wealthy finance broker. He was in 2001 the first inventor of the E-Trade of that time. Him and a couple of his buddies.
Okay.
And then they sold that shit off to Bank of America. And then Bank of America said, no, we want you guys to be attached to it. So Bank of America acquired him. He's like number 13 at BOA, right? So this guy is very smart, he knows this shit when it comes to numbers, scaling, blah, blah, blah. His buddy who did the algorithms. So the way it works is E-Trade is you trade your 100 shares, 200 shares. These guys were like, no, massive. You want to buy 1 million shares? Our algorithm will do the work. Yeah. So that's how like deep these guys are. I'm sitting a month ago talking about his new home, and he's like, Tim, listen, whenever you're ready to start flipping these homes, man, I'm telling you, you're flying. You're like crushing this industry. I was like, listen, Pankill, I don't give a fuck about developing, to be honest with you. Yeah. He was like, whoa, what happened a year ago? You told me you're like, you want to be like the Property Brothers, but better. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, man, there's a bigger, like I was made to do bigger things, man. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I give him this idea, and he was like, he leans back and he was like, now this is interesting. and then he was like, so like, what kind of money we're talking? Under $1 million? Under $1? You know, when they say under $1, like they're so comfortable talking about it. He was like, under $1? I was like, oh, definitely. I was like, first of all, the marketing and like the offense side, I would have that lean as hell. The thing that would be expensive is the tech. My idea was to integrate that technology so a person literally just like hovers over with their phone, and the guy's like, yo, bro, my guy could make that happen. No problem. So I'm like, what? So like, this is now a real conversation. Boom. I like continue it. We meet again. And I was like, listen, I put the pitch together. I pitched him. He took it back to the guy, and he was like, listen, he wants all three of us to meet. And I think he's 1 foot in. If the second foot goes in, he wants skin. So like, he would want to be in it, not just like give us a bid. So these two guys now want to go in on this idea, and potentially this might happen this year. So that's,
oh, wow. So that's this year's time frame, huh? So how many locations are you in now?
So I got Jersey, my area really heavy. I got a couple of guys in Brooklyn. I got a couple of guys in the city. I got a guy in Miami, like a onesie twosie guy. And I got like 4 or 5 guys in Boston now.
Oh, wow. Like sales reps?
No. Just clients.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
As far as sales reps, no, none. Like I tried that model and it just doesn't work. I try to get virtual sales reps.
Yeah.
And either like a part-time designer or like a part-time PM that like has time on his hands. It just doesn't work. People don't get it. They don't understand it. So the best way is just, I put so much out to let people think and know it's okay to reach out to me, even though they're states away, and show people like, look, I got shit in Boston. Look, I got stuff. You know what I mean? So eventually it just becomes okay. So that's what I'm betting on. So this way I don't have to have physical presence in each and every single place.
I still, coach people, and I don't know if we skip over it or whatever, but we'll be a couple of calls deep and they're like, well, wait a minute, now where are you? And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like,
yep.
I can be anywhere and, and do this. So,
yep. That part excites me because even the way they think is different. The guy, to me, this is not something I said. He goes, listen, man, there's 2 ways to build this. There's building this and then hoping that you really hit the dice and everything goes well. And this is like a huge company, or you build this into like a $30 million business overnight. And then you knock on Hal's door or Pinterest. And then you're like, or Angie's List or whatever. And you're like, by the way, 60, 80, 90, 100, would you like this?
Yeah.
And that's it. And then, we get swallowed up or whatever. And then, so like, if that happens, oh my God, like that's it. I would never talk of development from hands-on standpoint ever again.
Well, the only development you would do is just be personal stuff. Like, I want to buy that building and
Yeah, like here, Mr. Smith, that's good with numbers. Figure it out. What's the cap? What am I getting? Like, put it all on paper. Like, that's it. There's systems for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What have been the big pivots as you look back over the past few years? What have been the big pivots for you that's got you like to where you are now?
I think just honestly, like not being scared to juggle more balls, because that was like the thing that looks the scariest from the outside. You know, you see someone running a business and they look like they're stressing out and they got a lot going on. You know, I've realized that for me and probably for most like real entrepreneurs, that's the place of most comfort. Like that's when you know like you're genuinely growing, like growth is happening as I'm stressing my ass out right now. You know, like I know gray hair coming out, but also I am.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, like that's happening. You know, it worked for you.
Yeah, some people make it work.
And like, you know, you just know you're growing. So it's like, I love that feeling. And also, you know, I'd rather try to put myself out of business than my competition. You know what I mean? So I will try as many things as long as they don't like literally put me out of business. So like, I will keep my 80. I have the 80-20. You know, the 80 is just nonstop. That's non-negotiable. That is my bread and butter. That is what works. That is, do not break it. Just keep promoting it. And then the 20 is you play around and you taste and like literally just more and more and more and more.
What was the big thing that got you out of like shifting away from development? Just seeing it and just getting a taste and being like, it's too hard, it's too cumbersome, it's too outdated.
The way I approach business today, I feel like it's super systematic and super tech and super hands off. And apparently that industry just does not want to be that way yet. And they're just fighting it. There's an extreme resistance, you know, in the marketplace. And like, you know, great, there's a generational shift, but still, even the younger generation that came up under the older generation is still half polluted by the old generation. So you got to first clean them out and then change it. And then, you know, that's really the only thing that you could do. So I think it's that. I think it's the fact that it moves so slow. And then in development, you know, in my experience, the clients that I serve, time is everything. So seeing how like inefficient these systems are, I just know standing from afar, not even like peeling the layers back, knowing how much time they're losing just by the experience that I have selling them things.
Yeah.
And that's not like them getting the building out of the ground. That's not them dealing with the building department and the zoning. So like, that's a whole other issue. So like when I put all those together and then add up the risk and then add up the investment cost and the cost of entry and all those things, it just does not, you know, outweigh, you know, the ROI is just not there in my experience. Now, if that's like literally the only thing that you could do, then that's what you do. But in my experience, I think I got lucky. I have options. So I prefer to squeeze those out later. And I literally just had a phone call with someone else, some guy that's interested in getting into real estate development. He's a high-end, like real high level influencer in the soccer space. He's like, you know, certified by Instagram and everything.
Yeah.
He's got like 500,000 followers. He gets like flown out by like Madrid and Real. And he goes to me, he was like, listen, you know, like, why aren't you interested? And I'm like, honestly, because after learning so much about it, you realize that it's not the end all be all. It's a great plan B. It's a great plan C, but if you can do more, you should.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like is pushing me now to just try and experience.
You know, that's exciting about this business that I'm in. I don't know anything else. So I'm very content just to camp out right here and teach every contractor how to make money. And I don't need to do any other kind of business. Well, if I'm successful at this, they'll probably provide me the opportunity to do it. But like it's so much fun to work with the speed at which you can communicate, convert clients. Like I'm falling in love with the marketing, and I'm just marketing again. The stuff that I'm doing is nothing new. There have been business coaches and mentors and authors and all that kind of stuff. But just finding a new audience, listening to what it is that they need and delivering it in a different, faster, deeper way. That's like, how can I provide even more value quicker? Because I know that everybody else that's timid about getting into the space, they'll just be slow because the fear of holding back or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't care. Like what's behind you there? Let's build a funnel. I'll make you a bet.
Yep.
Let's just do
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Let's just do it. And here's the thing. It's never been easier. It's never been cheaper. The consumer has never been more accessible, and the time has never been better. So you have everything on your side. So I don't know who said it, because I definitely don't want to take credit for it, but I think it was like a TED talk, and it was all about like, I think he was like a programmer for Google, and it's all about like how hard these tech companies work to create this technology, right? The modern digital way of marketing, right? Like literally, or like this platform that we're on right now. Like someone worked really hard for me and you to be in the live right now and then be able to record it, text, send stuff. Like this would cost thousands of dollars. So like people are just taking that for granted and are afraid to go all in for no reason. Like they create self barriers, you know, and like the mentality that you have, I almost secretly think you're an immigrant. You just don't know it. you have you have a mentality of one where you're just like, I'm just gonna just give this everything, and if life ends up kicking me in the mouth, then that was meant to be as well.
Well, that's the thing, is it kicks everybody in the mouth, and it's just like, you know, some people just get knocked down and that's it. They're like, they get, you know, it's like the first time when you're a kid, you know, you get the wind knocked out of you and you're like, that's it, my life is over. And I don't ever want to go through that again. And then when you just realize, you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's painful, but I'll just keep breathing. I'll just go do it again. But yeah, that's you say that I might be an immigrant. I tell you what I think it is I was just a middle child. That's what it is.
Same thing.
It's the exact same thing. I watched my older brother do things and I was like, I'm not going to do that because that got him in trouble. So I'll just make really good grades and fly under the radar. And then my younger brother came along and he got everything handed to him, or, you know, as a typical middle child would look at it. And I just said, okay, I'm just going to outwork everybody. And that's probably why I have gray hair. But yeah, if that makes me.
But that great. Formula works very well.
Yeah. And I just told people, like, I've gotten to the point now where I feel like with my business, the motivation is turned into obligation. Like, I'm not motivated to like take this company to the next level in this business and hire people and get this education, this training out there. It's not, if it was motivation, I would just that wears out, meaning you get tired, but like, I feel obligated to do it. I've figured a couple of things out. I feel like I know how to present this stuff and teach. And I've, you know, been working with clients long enough to know what their problems are and how to get them there really quickly. If I don't get out of bed and do that every day, then like, I can't, I got to look myself in the mirror and say, you're not, you can help more people. And so people talk about, you know, I'm not a big, you know, hustle and grind, because I've just been, you know, kicked in the mouth enough where I'm just like, I want to figure out, you know, how to do it without the grind. Meaning you grind through some things, but once I figure out how to oil the gears, I don't want to grind anymore. But the work is just, all right, let's keep the engine going. Let's get it, you know, high performing. But yeah, for me, it's all like obligation drives me more than anything else.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't have that experience because, you know, I'm not like putting anything out, but the fact that, you know, like we don't have a clue what it looks like from the outside because we're in it so deep, you know, that is what makes people go that far, you know.
So you don't think that you've got that for Imperial? Like, people aren't looking, especially now that you finally turned the camera back on, showing your pretty face and all of that kind of stuff. You don't think, like, do you have a concept of what you're like, you know, coming through have you received that?
No, like, so, you know, people will like tease me and they'll be like, listen, man, you got a movie of a superstar. You got a life of a movie superstar. Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's because I'm always like out really enjoying myself. You know what I mean? Because I work my face off when I'm on the field. I mean, like, look, like, you know me, like, you know, I'm working hard. Like, this is work hard, hoodie, coffee, like, I'm in the trenches. So, I don't know. I feel like what we can do is stop and think about it. That's what we can do. 'Cause that's when things start to get weird. And I feel like that's like the chance of it might start coming to conversation. So like, I even like the 2 or 3 little vlogs I did like way back when, you know, I still look back and I'm like, it's crazy. Like, I just did that. Like, a lot of people struggle doing a 10-second, 5-second FaceTime thing. And I just like put all that out there for all those thumbs down, all those possible thumbs down and shitty comments, but you just do it. And then I think because, again, we are who we are and we have that like engine inside, it just muscles you through it. It's like, it's hard to explain. You just do it.
What did you think about after Gary's book came out? And like you started getting all those messages, and you still, I mean, I see you post them, and there's probably, for everyone you post, there's probably 10 more. What was that like? Did you have any idea that it was going to have that kind of response?
No, that at all, because I know myself, and like I know if I'm reading like some book or something, you know, and like whatever, there's some story that I'm like, I don't think I will go that far and like reach out or like say it impacted me that well. But what I also didn't realize is that I didn't really give a shit when I shared my story, and I like just went raw. And apparently that's what resonates the most. You know what I mean? Because most people are afraid to go there and they like want to keep a clean PR image. But, you know, like I think I know where I'm going. So I'm not really too afraid to show where I've been. You know, It's like that kind of mentality. And I think that's one of the reasons why these people started just reaching out. And I had no idea it would be like that. It was like Sweden, Poland, Holland, you know, like all over US, Ukraine, you know, like crazy people are just like, listen, either a related business or just a service business, or they were just like a son looking to take over father's business that never had the balls to do it, and they finally did it, or they were just, you know, faced against adversity and blah, 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 blah. So like that is real. And honestly, that keeps me going like crazy, knowing that like first, what I've shared impacted, and two, knowing that actually what I did is that big of a deal, you know, because as you fly through it, you don't really stop to think about it. I still don't. Like you were just saying, I don't know what that looks like from the outside. Like, I don't know what that looks like from the outside to my friends. You know what I mean? I think I do. I just go on, but then all of a sudden I'm noticing they talk to me different, and you know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, is it because of this, or, you know what I mean? So when you stop and start thinking about it, that's when it gets weird. So I definitely try not to.
Yeah. That's one of the things about with my book is I started getting messages from people, and that's probably the biggest compliment I think that somebody could pay is they said, I read your book and I thought you were talking directly to me, or that chapter or describing the craftsman cycle. That was my life. And I'm like, no, man, that was my life. And just having that connection with somebody. I mean, again, I see the numbers pop up from people in Australia and the UK, and, you know, obviously I built a US audience here or whatever, but to have people across the globe, like, I got your book and I'm just like, man. And now there's no way my next book, I don't know how I'm supposed to repeat that. There's like, I get one and done. That's fine. Or whatever.
Here's the thing. I think you can follow a very successful model of crushing it, right? And do a sequel, you know, a sort of follow up to the prequel of, you know, being this one. And basically now, if I were, like, I'm just thinking, if I were you, if I had the power and the gift of what you have, I would put out my best shit in the next book as a sequel, saying, okay, now that you guys know the basics, there's, by the way, a whole lot that you can hire me to do stuff for, but just in the book that I can cover, here's a whole next layer. You know what I mean? And then it's just like anything else, just like the first iPhone wasn't the prettiest, and, you know, and the same thing, it's just going to be only better. Then you're going to think, wow, how am I going to outdo this one? You know, and then it just, before you know it, you're 5 in, and that's it.
I'm trying to sell people too, but I'm just trying to sell them on an incredible amount of value. I get that question all the time. Like, why are you giving this stuff away for free? Because it's so hard. It's so difficult. If you're going to need some help in order, and every successful person, no one that's super successful that you would want to follow anyway, stands up and says, yep, done it all on my own, you know. And that's the biggest problem I see is so many contractors. It's like, they don't reach out for help.
Yep.
There's not getting help. Sure.
I mean, it's the nature of the business is extremely competitive. It's very rugged. It's very like man's man, right? Kind of a business. So like, I could totally see that. So like, when I got in it, right, the first 2 years of my business life was that. It was a design and build company. You know, that's how me and you met.
Yeah.
That was before the showroom, before anything, you know? And I remember that, like, these guys are just so deep down in their holes. In 2 years, I built $1 million company without like even getting up and running. You know what I mean? Just like, okay, let's not do that. Let's get right past that. And then like, that's how so deep in it. So it's just the nature of the competitiveness and the old school mentality mixed in one, and a little bit of arrogance, because it's very like, my hands are better than the next guy's. So like, that's what, it's so hard. And it's such a big pain point where like, a lot of people didn't understand how big it was until guys like you came out, especially for this industry, because nobody had the patience to take on our industry, knowing how grumpy and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, some guy is going to tell me how to run my business. What does he know? Where's your business?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all the objections you've ever heard, like, it's so crazy to me that like people don't see this. I mean, in the marketing world, that is why 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds that are just hustlers listen to Gary Vee for 48 hours, make that a pretty PDF, and then sell that for $9.97 all day long, and then post the picture of them in a Gallardo, then post another video showing how they got the Gallardo, and then it just go on and on and on and on. Like, that is the difference between someone who opens their mind and just rides it versus people who are so deep down. And it sucks because it pains me to see someone who works with their hands, who literally breaks their back, but is not getting any of the benefits.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. And so you'd ask like, what's the bigger macro? Or for me, it's like, I want Shawn Van Dyke, not that, eventually I'll wrap it up into some media company or some other, whatever the big thing is, but like, I just want to be the premier education and training for construction in the United States. We'll start there. So is it a Formula One car? Do you want to sponsor a team? What's that? I'm not familiar with that whole setup. So what's
the ideal situation?
Yeah.
The ideal situation would be team ownership. Okay. Which is like, in United States, you get knighted with a sports franchise. Like that's, I'm very realistic knowing that's out of my life scope. You know, is that we're talking big B's.
Yeah.
But F1 team ownership is M's.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not crazy. So me knowing the way I'm navigating right now, the goal is to pool maybe 2 or 3 different parties together and come in on a F1 team, and then sort of, go to Ferrari and say, hey, let's sell us an engine. Go to McLaren and say, hey, sell us the body, and then put together, whatever we call it, F1 team. But for now, the immediate is to get just as an off-screen sponsor, just so I could at least walk the paddock whenever I feel like at any race. I'm like that close, because as you saw, like already last year in Texas, the Haas team, the first American F1 team, they invited me out, and it was a total coincidence how I met the team owner, like crazy serendipity.
Yeah.
And then this year I'm going back out again, and I'm actually going to approach him and say like, okay, like what does it take like for an entry point sponsor? Cause I want to understand like the business of F1, and you know what I mean? Like that's passion already. That's not like a viable business that I'm thinking about. That's just already like, how am I going to spend the money that I'm busting my ass making right now?
Yeah. So, and where did that come from? Where did F1 come from? Is that like you're a little kid in the streets of Russia? I just imagine playing with little cars, and you were like,
No, not at all. It's actually, you barely had access to any of that at all, because it was like, once a month they showed it. Because the TV just like screened everything, and they allowed you to see like 2 channels, and one of them was news and the other one was bad news. So I mean, it was just love for cars, and I've always raced growing up, like autocross. I did quarter mile racing. I did all kinds of stuff. Used to go to racetracks, and it's just always been inside. And like, I will never be a race car driver, as much as that might be in me. So the next thing is being, as close to the sport as possible from, the fan side. And obviously that is the ultimate way to do it, is to, team ownership. But it's just always just been the passion. If I don't walk that little paddock, I'm doing something wrong with my life. And
that's
like,
awesome.
I have to make it my life's business to get in there. And it's so crazy that last year I'm standing in the paddock next to a team owner, an F1 team owner, and I'm like, it's crazy when you put it out there first. You don't even realize how the we have a saying in Russia. It's like, if you put the mind to it, the ass will follow.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's basically that. Like, I put it out there and it becomes like real. You know what I mean? Like, so it's now like really real. Like, I'm DMing with one of the team managers. We became friends. I just made I sent one of those guys a watch, sent another guy a Russian doll set of the team owner and the drivers inside of him. You know what I mean? So the matryoshkas.
Yeah.
So like, that was pretty cool, you know? So like, I'm actually now like really like, I'm making it my business to like really invest in, you know,
just making it a reality.
That's it.
I mean, you're already on your way. You're in a Netflix documentary, right?
By accident. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, there are no accidents, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. That was like another, I'm sitting there watching it, and I was like, I'm telling my girl, I was like, it would be crazy if we make it, because it was from the season that we made it to the paddock. And they did this whole feature on the American team. And sure enough, they like moved the camera by, and I was like, oh my God. That's
How many times did you watch that?
A million.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it's all the little things, you know, it's micro versus macro, and you know, that's micro, but now that puts all this positive in me now to keep going, pushing towards the macro.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's just crazy how life works and how you make it work. It doesn't work on its own. You got to make it work.
Yeah. Where do you think you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? That had to have been luck, how I ended up in the paddock. So I'm on the way back from my country's home Grand Prix, which is Azerbaijan, Baku. So they started hosting a waterfront Caspian Sea. It's almost like a Monaco-like race. Amazing. They signed a contract for the next 10 years. It's so good. So I'm coming back, and the airfare is extremely cheap. So I decided to upgrade to first class and treat myself. And I ended up sitting next to the team owner, you know, because it's only 2-seaters. And the guy was only 2 years into this F1 team, 3 years there. It's a baby team. It's brand new. They're the first ones that is not a all one team, meaning Ferrari, Renault, Porsche, meaning like they do everything. They came in and they're like, all right, listen, we make wrenches. Like Haas Automation is like, they make like machine parts, and they make like tools and whatever. So they came in, approached Ferrari for engines, approached this guy for that, and then put this together. And this guy, Gunther Steiner, who has a lot of F1 experience, approached a team, NASCAR team owner, Gene Haas, came together and started this F1 team. I'm sitting next to Gunther Steiner on the F1, on the airplane. I'm red as hell. I turn over to him and I was like, listen, there's no right way to do this. But
that's a good way to start out. By the way, I'm about to embarrass myself.
Yeah. I was like, I just have to. I was like, you're Gunther Steiner, right? And because he was a new team, and because he's not a Ferrari guy or Mercedes guy, like nobody knows who he is. Yeah. He got so lit up from the fact that I recognized him. It turns into like this 2-hour conversation. And, you know, he gives me, at the end of it all, he was like, listen, it's so good to see that, like, you're so excited about it. I was like, Gunther, I'm telling you, I was like, when I get my millions, you know, I will get into F1. And he was like, listen, first of all, you don't need millions. So let me give you some hope there. I was like, and two, he's like, here's my email. He was like, you want to come to the paddock? We will give you a personal tour of the garage. So like, there's 2 ways to get into F1. There's the paddock, which is where like the stars go and like your media is. And then there's the garage. Garage is invitation only. Like the team has to invite you because it's secret information, all that stuff. So the paddock is like whatever. I was in the like garage, you know, and like holding the steering wheel and all that other shit. And it was so
man.
Crazy.
See,
that's luck.
You know, I believe that you create your own luck. I mean, there's certainly things where I look back and I say, oh, I got lucky here, but it can always be traced back to something that you said that I thought was so key. And I've said this before, is like, you bought the upgrade. Like, you created your own luck by saying, you know what, first class, one-time sort of deal. Let's just do it. Let's live life a little bit, right? Let's spend a little bit of money. And then that puts you in the place to create that own luck. Had you not had the mentality of saying, you know what, I'm going to upgrade. Because I tell people that all the time, especially you're a business owner and you're having like trouble with sales or whatever, especially if everybody wants a high-end client, you need to understand, you need to buy the upgrade every now and then. And I'm all about, you know, no debt and being fiscally responsible, but like life is too short not to get a couple of upgrades, because you need to experience what other people are willing to pay for. And then take that for yourself and just have that mentality saying, no, you know what? I just need to sell you on this upgrade. I need to give you this experience because there are so many people. That's standard operating procedure for them is the upgrade. And you might be able to provide that one person that is going to get the one upgrade, the one first class ticket, you know, just because, but you'll never sell it. You'll never have that experience if you don't go for it. So I always like, you know, I think that luck is part of it, but the mindset that you have to have, especially in business, is like you just create your own luck.
Oh, definitely.
You're prepared for it, and you never know when it's going to happen. And I think you only look back every now and then and say, "Oh, yeah, that was lucky." Now that now that I've turned this thing into something, that was luck. But it comes from, you know, it just comes from having the mindset of just like, no, I'm going to do this thing, and then that's why I was saying, like, man, get the upgrade. That's what like we learned last year. You know, when Katie had recovered from cancer and she was the one that, you know, really taught me this. She was like, man, if I survive this and I'm turning 40, this was last year, I'm turning 40, I survived this, you're taking my ass to a beach. And it's not going to be some cheap ass beach either. It's going to be some beach that requires a passport. We were booking the trip in Jamaica or whatever. It's like, we can get the normal room or we can get the room with the butler service 24/7. And it's just like, it's so easy. It's so easy to, like, even when you don't have the money, is just say, you know what, we'll make the money. We'll find it. We'll just make it work. We can't miss this opportunity. And I mean, there you are. It puts you next to a team. What is it? Team owner or team?
Yeah. Team owner.
Team owner. And then you get the private invite and you're Timmy holding the steering wheel in the garage, man. Beautiful.
Crazy.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was just good.
Of course, man.
All right, buddy. Man. All the best. As
Absolutely.
always, if you need anything, you let me know.
Likewise.
All right. See you,
All
buddy.
right, brother.
Bye.
Later. Bye.